Welcome back to another episode of the WealthRabbit podcast. I'm Charles.
I'm Jason.
I'm Adam.
Does anyone call you Charlie?
Oh, Chucky. I called him Chucky the other day.
I'm good with Chuck.
We switched heads.
You know, we record this like a week apart, but we just all wear the same clothing, and we like to throw the hats around just to see the listeners.
I changed my shirt.
Welcome
guys.
back.
Yeah. We actually live in the Warren here. We live here.
Yeah. And we're very conservative on their outfit choices.
Yeah.
Pick something that works and just keep wearing it for 5 episodes. So last episode, we almost gave it all away. Fee structures. It's the big important stuff that people want to hear about. Is what are the fee structures in different retirement accounts? What is more expensive? What are people wasting money on? Where is it useful? Like what's the most helpful balance there?
Well, I think one big thing about financial companies in general is you don't know how much you're paying for your fees because they're very hidden. And Adam, why don't you just tell us the different types of fees you could have?
Yeah. So when it comes to investing, there's a couple different ways that you can pay. And it depends on a couple different things, but really the share class of investments you get into, and depends on the advisor you're working with or the company you're working with. So for a lot of companies, especially a lot of some of our simple competitors out there, they get folks into what's called A-share mutual funds. What that means is there is going to be an upfront commission, anywhere from 5% down, depending on your total investment account number, and there's that upfront commission, which say it's 5%. You put in $100. Well, that means you start off with $5 less immediately. And if you listen to our Bad Bunnies, if you listen to our last podcast, the market goes up 8%.
That's the opposite of compounding interest.
Yeah. Depounding.
Yeah. You're depounding. Keep depounding.
Yeah. So that's one way. And even with those A-share mutual funds, there's something called an expense ratio. And what's an expense ratio is? An expense ratio are the fees that are built into the investment that they charge. You don't really know what you know what the expense ratio is if you read the prospectus, which is
nobody.
50, which is nobody. So 50.
Expense ratio is how much they're spending of the money that you put in. How much?
That's for their management, their active management of that mutual fund, and their salaries and
their meals,
their trips to Las Vegas, that type of stuff.
Splitting 20s. So that's one way. There's another way you can get into. It's called the C share class. C as in Charles. Chucky over there.
Yeah, that's right.
Charlie.
What that is you there is no upfront commission, but that expense ratio is higher. Those expense ratios are typically 1.25% or more, or in the industry we call basis points. Gotcha. That's 125 basis points plus. Those are typically not good investments. Not saying the investments themselves aren't good, but the fee structure behind those investments are not good. Gotcha. Now then you can get into the institutional share class, which you typically have to have an advisor to buy. And those don't have a commission and have lower expense ratios. But what we have in WealthRabbit.
Well, so that's how much the actual fund costs. But then the advisor is normally charging another percentage basis point on top of that.
Exactly. So not only are you getting hit by, 1+% from the fees inside the fund,
right?
But then potentially you can also get charged an advisory fee. Now, typically, if the advisor is charging, a commission, either an A or C share class, they're legally not allowed to charge an advisory fee. So hopefully your advisor is not double dipping. But what we have in our are called ETFs, which is exchange traded funds, and they're very similar to an index fund, which an index fund just tracks a particular index. And these have very, very low expense ratios. Like anywhere
15 basis points?
I mean, some are 1 basis point.
So, that's a way different, even at a 10 basis point compared to 125 basis points. You're paying 0.1% instead of 1.25%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that mutual fund has to perform over 1.3 or 1.5 better than that ETF in order for you to make the same return.
Gotcha.
That's very difficult to do.
Yeah. And transparency is another thing. I mean, those, ETFs have those low expense ratios, and no one's going to know the expense ratios on an ETF either because you're not going to read the prospectus. But, there's no fees compared to the mutual funds that have these high fees. So transparency is very key. And, one of the big things with WealthRabbit is we're very transparent about, the expense ratio, the return net. We don't care about no one cares about the gross return. We care about the net return because that's what goes into your pocket.
Gotcha.
So when you see another advisor, what do you look at to know that they potentially don't have the client's best interest?
I mean, I've been doing it for such a long time now that I can just see the portfolio and I can just say, wow, this is a shitty portfolio.
But it's a shitty portfolio because they're putting you into high fee mutual funds and
yeah. I mean, a lot of the times they're going to be in this, all in the same fund family, or so just diversification isn't there. When I look at a portfolio, I guess I just know.
It's like Rain Man.
It's like,
I can feel it.
Yeah, I can feel
He
it.
just puts his hand out and he's like, oh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would say for our listeners who are wondering, it's like, hey, go back and are you in a bunch of mutual funds? If you're in a bunch of mutual funds, that's a sign that those are very high expense ratios.
And not saying, I don't want to say all mutual funds are bad because all mutual funds are not bad.
Yeah.
We have our clients in some of our mutual funds, just really depends. And, when it comes to a mutual fund, there's 3 things we look at. One is performance, making sure it is performing how it's supposed to be performing. 2 are those fees. And then 3, typically we would look at the portfolio manager's tenure, making sure they've been doing it for a while. And, you can actually see if they're actually invested in what they manage. We think that's important.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to ask
Your
the financial advisor.
Yeah.
And
always ask your advisor, how do you get compensated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
let's
ask-
describe the different
ask if
types
they're a
of if it's
fiduciary.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the different types of
What's a fiduciary, Charles?
So talk about a fiduciary. Like you do well when they do well. That sort of a combination of things.
Yeah, but what a fiduciary means, and just not even in the financial world, but in
CPA,
any
lawyer,
real estate is that you have to take care of your client before your own interest.
you
Your
got to put the
client's
client
interest.
first.
Yep, which you think would be normal, but
But it's not.
unfortunately, it's not.
And at WealthRabbit, we are fiduciaries, which means we have to put our client's interest first.
Fiduciary.
Yeah. So
We'll get a jingle. We'll get a jingle.
yeah.
Put it in.
But that's why our funds are mostly ETFs, low costs. We charge 50 basis points. So all in, you're in for 50 to 60 basis points, somewhere around there. Whereas most other people, even if they say they're not charging you a basis fee, like Adam said, you're paying 1,
Right.
1.25, 1.5, maybe even 2 all in. And that's just way too much.
Yeah, and there's different break points, with WealthRabbit, to where the more money you have, that advisory fee of 50 basis points goes down. So, but I think another fee thing we need to talk about is, as far as the business owner, WealthRabbit fees.
Yeah.
Unless this is just investment fees. You tell me, Chucky boy.
Let's do it. No, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Because
Chucky boy.
if somebody's using,
Oh my God.
let's say somebody's using they got an IRA and it's a free let's compare WealthRabbit to like a free IRA plan. So if somebody's just out there, they've got some solution.
Like a regular
that
simple. Like if you're setting up a simple, not with WealthRabbit.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And they're
Simple
not
IRA.
charging the employer a fee.
Right.
Yeah.
Like why why should you pay us the fee?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
yeah. But you touch on that, and I'll touch on why is it free, because it's not really free.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're going to put you in better investments. You're better investments that have lower costs. So you're going to be in for 50, 60 basis points instead of 1.25 or 1.5 or higher.
Okay. So you're saying,
Our software is better. Like for the employer, you're going to be able to manage everything in one place. You're going to be able to easily invite your employees, make changes. The other ones, they don't put any money into the software because they don't see it as
it's
a money
an
maker for
afterthought.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've designed this for the employer and the employee,
Right.
and we're going to keep you in compliance. Like we're going to send those automated emails to your employees when it's time for them to, make sure they want to continue doing the simple like you're supposed to do once a year. We're going to make sure that once a year you want to make any changes to the simple, like just following IRS guidelines.
Send
Like
the notices out. There's
Yeah.
different compliance things
that you're supposed to do that I guarantee you these other simples are not doing right now.
Yeah, and I'll touch on, when you go to set up a simple IRA somewhere else, whether it be at one of our competitors, and they say it's free to set up, there's no monthly charge or anything like that. They're basically putting a box around your investments, and they're making you invest in, what they want to invest in. And that's where, like we mentioned, 1.5%, 2% in fees. It's just you as a business owner, you're supposed to be taking care of your employees.
You're not being a fiduciary
You're
for
not
your employees.
being a fiduciary for your employees. I mean,
and yourself. In that
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah, because you're an employee too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So without speaking too broadly, I mean, there's no like we don't want to make people think that like mutual funds are bad and ETFs are good. I'm sure there's some great mutual funds.
Yeah, it's more complicated.
And
Yeah,
there's some-
it's
and
more
there's some-
complicated than that. I mean,
There are,
there's-
like Adam said, there are good mutual funds.
yeah, and there's good mutual fund
funds.
companies.
They may have a high fee, but if they also have a really high performance,
Yeah,
I mean,
you
sometimes
get
it makes
what you
sense.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But
if you can find one of the 4%, if you don't get boxed into the
you're saying 4%. There's like 4% of mutual funds that actually do better than the market. Is that what you're saying?
that's what our compadre
general.
over here said. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but he read it somewhere.
People are saying.
Well, if you look at the financial advisors in general, like if they say they're going to beat the market, like
Yeah,
only 4%
only 4%
do, and it's a complete luck. Like
interesting. Gotcha. So that's why you end up going with funds like what you guys have developed with BlackRock.
Correct.
So something that's a combination. It's
Yeah.
It's not a.
risk, diversify, long-term investing, low cost.
Yeah, but we also, we leverage BlackRock, their expertise in the industry. They can kind of see different trends coming. So that's where this active management that Jason mentioned. These portfolios we build do have active management, where we change things over time.
Gotcha.
Depending,
And that's what you're paying the 50 basis points.
Yeah.
So you're paying 50 basis points to us, so we actively manage
Yeah.
instead of paying 125 basis points.
Yeah.
You ready to sign up?
Let's sign up. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm going to sign up right now.
Okay.
For my non-existent company.
We should probably tell people how to sign up. We haven't done that yet.
I mean, be my guest.
well, is
This
that not
is
is that
video.
not, is that not in the
Go
link?
to this
How does
website.
somebody get started?
What do you?
Not
sounds
texting.
Well,
like
you can't see it, but Caleb will put it on the video. Yeah.
It's kinda like
We'll give
your
Caleb
hands-
more
your
work.
hands way out of frame. You're just
Oh God.
Right here.
Subscribe.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
Subscribe.
That was a bit.
like and
Subscribe.
subscribe. Like and
Yeah.
subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone.
WealthRabbit.com.
WealthRabbit.
All you bad bunnies.
Bad bunnies.
The WealthRabbit podcast is a production of WealthRabbit, located in sunny Rock Hill, South Carolina. WealthRabbit is the first digitized platform designed to make simple IRA management effortless. We're on a mission to empower small businesses to invest in their team's financial future without the headaches. No hidden fees, no complicated processes, just retirement planning made simple. Go to wealthrabbit.com now to learn more. The views and opinions expressed on the WealthRabbit podcast are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect or state the opinions of WealthRabbit. Comments and remarks on this podcast should not be construed as tax, legal, or other investment advice. Please consult your tax, legal, or investment professional. All investments involve risk. Past performance does not guarantee future results, including the risk of loss. Investments are not FDIC insured.